State Representative Kate Harper, and we have a special show for you today. I'm here in Upper Gwynedd with Chris Boyd, an Upper Gwynedd resident who owns Cardinal Hollow Winery, Boyd's Cardinal Hollow Winery, right in West Point. We're going to talk today about winemaking in Pennsylvania. It's a fairly new industry for us, and it's taken off in our area and across the Commonwealth. So I'd like to introduce my guest, Chris Boyd. How you doing, Chris?
Awesome, thank you.
You live right here in Upper Gwynedd?
Oh, a mile away, yes.
All right, now a lot of people want to know, how did you get into the winemaking business?
Well, it's actually a neat one because I started making wine in the basement of my house just as a hobby. You know, try a little beer, try a little wine. I really got into wines. I really liked them. And so I started 5-gallon batches, turned into 10-gallon batches, which turned into 55-gallon barrels. And before you know it, I had over 3,000 gallons of wine in the basement of my house. Now, legally in Pennsylvania, that's a little too much.
Right. I was going to say, whoa, is that legal?
You're allowed 300 gallons of wine a year per household for your own consumption.
Okay.
So I was a little over. So I figured, just like, you know, the Moonshiner series, if you ever watched that one where Tim went legal, I decided I better get legal before I got arrested. So
good idea. Good idea, Chris. Don't try this at home, folks.
Do not try it at home, yes. And that's just it. So I decided, okay, if I turn this into a business, then I could do it for retirement and eventually grow and get a sustainable company. And so when I decided to retire from my regular job, I could walk right into the winery with a salary and established clientele and enjoy life.
So that's what you're working on right now?
Yes, we are, yeah. Unfortunately, the 10-year plan turned into a 5-year plan because our growth has been over 30 to 40% a year right now.
So that's great. All right, now do you have to get a special license for this?
Yes. First, you have to get your company established. So I'm an S Corp. And then you have to get federally insured and bonded. Then once you have your federal license, then you can go for your state winery license, which now allows you to sell wine and collect taxes.
Okay. Now, where do you get the grapes? You grow them in Upper Gwynedd?
No, I don't grow anything. I'm just a winery. I let the Pennsylvania farmers grow all the fruit. So I deal with 5 growers and 2 orchards in Pennsylvania. So over 90% of my fruit is PA grown.
All right. Does that allow you to call your wines PA wines?
PA preferred.
Oh, PA preferred wines.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, great.
Yes.
All right. Well, why don't we go take a look at the winery and see some of the wines?
Sure, sounds good.
Okay, Chris, here we are with some of your wines. Do you want to tell us what each one is about and what's the most popular of this group of wines?
Sure. Well, I make over here about 30 different varieties, and we do some seasonal stuff. So some things come in, some things go out. I just released my Reserve Chambourcin, which actually won a bronze medal down in a Texas competition just last week.
Wow.
My regular Chambourcin, which is a gold medal winner in Pennsylvania, and that has been just one of my staple wines.
Well, hold on for a second. A Chambourcin, what is that?
All right, Chambourcin is, which is neat, it's a Pennsylvania grown grape, so that is the variety. It's a French hybrid, but it is probably the biggest grape grown in Pennsylvania for winemaking. Now, Concord, of course, is the state grape for Pennsylvania because of Welch's grape juice.
And hold on for a second. Yeah. Milk is the state beverage.
Okay,
so I should
that's
mention
all right.
That.
But for grapes, yes. For wine, Concord's number one. But Chambourcin, almost every winery in PA will make some kind of Chambourcin. Okay. It's very versatile. It can be done dry, off-dry, sweet, semi-sweet, oak, no oak. You can make it a multiple combinations. So that's why it's so versatile of a grape and goes well with everything. You can have that with pizza, pasta, hamburgers, hot dogs, chicken, spaghetti, whatever you want.
Okay.
Great red table wine.
What else you have?
Oh, another nice one, a Gewürztraminer. That is
what Straminer?
Gewürztraminer, yes. That is a German grape, but again, grows up in the Erie region, actually up here.
Okay.
Very well with a lot of the German style grapes. The Riesling, the Gewürztraminer, Vidal, all those grow very well up in northeast Pennsylvania. Then you got, which one we got? Oh, the peach. All right, so some of our seasonal wines. We have our peach, we have our apple, which was just released, and of course then the pumpkin. So again, all these are based on fruits that come from Pennsylvania. Okay. And they're 100% fruit. There's no grapes in any of them. It is just straight. So the pumpkin is just straight pumpkins with a little cinnamon and brown sugar in it, and that is it.
You can make wine out of a pumpkin?
Yes, you can. You can make wine out of anything that has sugar.
Wow.
Now when you get into the fruit wines, they're a little harder to make because grapes are naturally balanced to make a wine. Fruit normally isn't. All right, so they make it great for salads, but not for wine. So you have to add stuff, add sugar, or take acid away. So there's a little more baking involved when you get into the fruit wines.
Well, where did you learn how to do all this?
again, just in the basement of the house, you look up a recipe, you talk to some people, you try some stuff, it either comes out or it doesn't come out.
But then you have to wait a whole year to try it again?
Yes, you do. That is the hardest part about winemaking, is it's not brewing. Brewing, you can make a beer and drink it in 30 days. Wine, once you start it, you got to wait a year to 2, sometimes even 3, like the whiskey mead. Now this one's made from Pennsylvania wildflower honey, fermented in old Kentucky whiskey barrels for over a year. Silver medal winner of mine, but so smooth. You smell honey, you taste honey, and in the background you get that whiskey barrel. It goes great with barbecue food. Rack of ribs, roasted chicken, leg of lamb.
Well, I have to say that I've had your summer mead in the summer, and it is a great thing. It smells like honey.
Yeah, yeah. But it's not as sweet as honey, So that's the alcohol part in the background, just like regular wine. But it makes it go well with all that barbecue food.
All right, so I have heard that ancestors of mine would crush wine grapes in the bathtub. Is that what you do?
No. No, actually, if you look at my brochure, I'm standing in a tub with the grapes. It's actually, an oak barrel. But yeah, making wine, you're making an alcohol. And alcohol is a cleanser. So, in the old days, people used to stomp on it with their feet and everything. In fact, if you go to Europe, they still do it in a lot of little towns. Even if you go to California, there's still some wineries that will actually stomp with their feet. Nothing wrong with it. Once the alcohol level comes up to 10, 12, 14%, it's clean.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how do you do it?
We use mechanical crushing equipment.
Okay.
Big stainless steel vats, crushing equipment. Sometimes we do it by hand a little bit, with the more reserve varieties. But for the most part, it's just mechanical equipment doing the work.
All right, and then you store it, or you have to ferment it for a while? How does that work?
Well, there's primary fermentation, which is the first stage, and that's when all the yeast that lives on the skins, or you pitch your own yeast in, that eats the sugar, and it actually burps out carbon dioxide, which is the bubbles you see coming up, and it actually pees out alcohol.
Oh, wow. Okay, there are a lot of jokes I can make, but I won't do it. This is a family show,
That's right.
okay?
Alcohol is actually a byproduct of yeast. And what ends up happening is the yeast eat all the sugar, and they actually die off in their own waste. And they settle to the bottom. And then what's left is good enzymes, bacteria, good bacteria hopefully left still in there, that will finish off the rest of the wine and make it soft and smooth.
All right, now to make a small business out of something you obviously enjoy as a passion,
Yes.
What else do you have to do to make winemaking a business in Pennsylvania?
Oh, lots of patience, and unfortunately a lot of capital up front.
Okay.
Because I have to buy grapes, I have to buy the tanks, I have to buy the hoses, I have to have a building. I have to do all this stuff before I sell my first bottle.
Sure, because it would take you a long time to get to your first
exactly.
bottle.
So you got to do all the fermentation, all the aging, the racking, then get to actually bottling your wine before you can sell it. So it's probably 2 to 3 years down the line before the first bottle will leave a winery that just started up.
All right.
And that's the hard part. You got to cover all your costs for 2 to 3 years.
And then after you do it, do you run special events here? I know we discussed, I was part of an attempt to make the Guinness Book of World Records on the largest toast in Pennsylvania.
Our largest wine toast, and it was a great success. We didn't beat it, but it was a great success.
We didn't beat it, but it was fun.
It was fun. We're here at the winery at our main West Point location. Every first Friday of the month, we do a First Friday event, which is live music and free munchy foods, cheese and crackers, chips and that kind of thing. And then every second Saturday night is a comedy night. And we're actually be adding a painting event in here too. Painting wine
people
glasses.
come and buy wine and sit and participate in the event, huh?
Yeah, just hang out and chill and have a good time.
All right, now also, I know that some places in Pennsylvania have a wine trail where you go visit multiple wineries in a day or an afternoon or something. Is that something you participate in?
Yes, in fact, 3 years ago I started the Montgomery County Wine Trail. So right now we have 4 wineries on it, and actually the 5th one just added, which is Keystone Homebrew started a winery over there now too.
Oh, I thought they just did beer.
Nope, it's called Stone Key Cellars.
Okay.
And they just opened up like a month and a half ago or so. So they're doing wine now also.
All right, now if somebody wanted to come and see a Cardinal Hollow, you're not open all the time because you have another job, right?
This location is open 7 days a week.
Okay.
12 to 6 daily and 12 to 5 on Sundays. We have 5 retail stores now.
Wow.
We're here. We're in Skipback, little Skipback Village. We're right next to Mel's Diner and the Big Red Barn. We're in just outside the we're in Quakertown Farmers Market. We are also in Peddler's Village, or just outside Peddler's Village, right next to the Dairy Queen.
In Bucks County.
Yeah, Bucks County. We're in Coopersburg, and I'm actually opening a store in Jim Thorpe.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, going up the Northeast Extension then,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay, and I also know that Bucks County has a number of wineries.
Yes. Yes.
So they're competitors, but in a way, you're all part of the same industry.
The wine industry is very unique as compared to others. If you put in a McDonald's and right next to it you put in a Burger King, you half your business. Half goes to McDonald's, half goes to Burger King. In the wine industry, if I were to put 10 wineries in, my business would go up by 10-fold.
Because people like the choice.
It's now a destination.
Okay.
You now have options. You'll be now a tourist destination. So I would love extra wineries to open up on the road because it would bring more people here.
Okay, great.
So that's why these little villages like Skipback and Peddler's Village, you put a couple wineries in there, now more people come because now it's more of a touristy thing.
Right, I was going to say that helps the tourism industry, doesn't it?
Certainly does, yes. And the Pennsylvania Wine Association is working on a big program right now. It kicked off in the beginning of this summer. And it is really driving. We got billboards up. We got other advertising things going on. And Jennifer will talk more about that also.
Right. We'll be talking to Jennifer from the Wine Association in a little while.
Yep.
What else can you tell us about popular things? Do people buy wine as gifts, or do they consume it here, or they take it home, or what's your average customer?
You're more than welcome to consume it here. Most people will take it home. Come and get a bottle or two for the weekend or a holiday or presents, gifts, that kind of thing. Surprisingly, there are actually a lot of Boyds in Pennsylvania. So they
like the name.
They buy the wine bottle just because of the name Boyd on it. And a lot of Cardinal people love Cardinal. So, the labels do actually help sell wine a little bit too.
Right,
Not only the stuff in the bottle.
Going to have a hypothesis here. Is Cardinal Hollow where you live?
Yes,
it is.
It is.
Right here in Upper Gwynedd, we have a neighborhood called Cardinal Hollow.
And I actually didn't know it until I went to do my federal alcohol permit, and I had to pull my plot plan and stuff for my property. And on the plot plan, I live in Cardinal Hollow, lot number 9, and I never knew it.
So that's a very picturesque name. And how did you get your labels designed? Who did that?
I did the basic design of them, and then, of course, put that out for different label printers to quote on it and do that type of thing. But they polish it up, make them look nice.
I think it looks great. Now, what wine of this group would you recommend?
All depends what you like. Because we go from completely dry with oak to dessert sweet to semi-sweet, so a little selection of everything. And especially, what type of food you like.
Okay, so before we break for a commercial, what I'm going to ask you is, if I thought I would like to have this wine.
Gewürztraminer, yes.
Yeah, what would I drink that with?
Thanksgiving.
Really?
Turkey, mashed potatoes, gravy, green bean casserole. It's my #1 Thanksgiving wine.
Well, that's a good place to stop. Okay, we're going to have to take a break here, and we're going to come back and talk to the Pennsylvania Wine Association to find out about winemaking across the Commonwealth. But my guest here in Upper Gwynedd, right at his own place, is Chris Boyd from Cardinal Hollow Winery. Thanks very much for being here, Chris.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Did you know that the main entrance to the Pennsylvania State Capitol building is home of 2 bronze doors that each weigh over 1 ton? As the primary entrance to this beautiful architectural building, the bronze doors signify the many accomplishments and sacrifices endured throughout the history of the Commonwealth. The magnificent archway over top the doors contains a portrait of William Penn, founder of the Keystone State. The upper panels on the doors commemorate the forming of our nation, with the signing of the Declaration of Independence and Constitution. The bottom panels depict the laborious industries of the Commonwealth, including coal mining and agriculture. Now you know.
Welcome back to the program. I'm State Representative Kate Harper. Before the break, you saw my visit to Boyd's Cardinal Hollow Winery right in Upper Gwynedd Township. It was a great example of a small business that's thriving, and it also demonstrates the success and the popularity of Pennsylvania wines. Here to tell us more about the big picture of wineries across the Commonwealth is Jennifer Eckinger. She's the Executive Director of the Pennsylvania Winery Association. Welcome, Jennifer.
Well, thank you for inviting me to speak with you.
So that sounds like a dream job for some people.
It's pretty fantastic. I get to work with many passionate business people and artisans across the state, and it's such a growing industry, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
All right, well, tell me what the Pennsylvania Winery Association is and how long you've been with them.
Sure. The Pennsylvania Winery Association is a nonprofit trade association, and we advocate on behalf of the wineries and help to promote and market Pennsylvania wineries throughout the state and nationally and internationally as well. I've been with the association more than 10 years, and throughout my tenure I've seen the number of wineries grow from more than 50 wineries to more than 170 wineries with their doors open and selling to the public.
Wow. Okay, so it sounds like Pennsylvania wines are big business.
Indeed, they have an economic impact of more than $2 billion, and they're a value-added product. So we like to think of it from grape to glass, from everything from the vineyard until you in the tasting room get to sample the wines and find a wine to enjoy with your dinner that evening.
Well, who knew? I mean, I never thought of Pennsylvania as wine country. Mm-hmm. So tell me, I guess it helps with tourism in Pennsylvania?
Yes, wineries in Pennsylvania are a unique niche. We're part of the two largest industries in Pennsylvania, both agriculture and tourism. So we're in that nice agritourism niche, and we consider ourselves an opportunity to see, especially at this time of the year when there's harvest going on and finishing up, you can see, how those grapes do in order actually do find their way to the consumer. But more importantly, it's a place to visit. We right now have a campaign called the PA Wineland campaign, and that's how it helps to encapsulate the whole concept of the vast geography that we have in Pennsylvania, and going to visit one winery maybe in the Erie area and another and wineries in north central Pennsylvania, and then also in your area.
Right. Well, my area is Montgomery County, but we're very close to Bucks, and I have read about these things called wine trails. And in fact, on your website, which we can put up, mm-hmm. You talk about something called a groundhog wine trail. Yes. But in my area, it's the Montgomery County Wine Trail and the Bucks County Wine Trail. What's a wine trail? Yes,
you're very fortunate, you in the Montgomery County area. You have Montgomery County Wine Trail and Bucks County Wine Trail. They are part of 12 wine trails that we have in the state of Pennsylvania, and of course Groundhog Wine Trail is one of those as well. A wine trail is basically a way to give an identity to a region. So oftentimes the wineries will work together, anywhere from, I think the smallest wine trail we have has 3 wine trail members, the largest more than 20 some, and a visitor can choose to visit a number of those wineries or all of them throughout a planned period of time and get a taste of the region, attend events, really connect with the wineries, and it gives a sense of space. So for the Montgomery County and Bucks County area, you would be traveling through those beautiful roads and seeing the beautiful landscape, but then also get a chance to stop off at restaurants and other attractions and continue to visit wineries along the way.
All right, now how would one find the Montgomery County Wine Trail if they were looking for it?
Sure, we have a website, it's pennsylvaniawine.com, and we also have a mobile website, m.pennsylvaniawine.com, and from no matter which device you would approach, it will give information on how to visit those wineries and how to chart your course.
All right, now Chris Boyd actually said that having more wineries was a good thing for his business and not less, that people like to compare and go from one to another or try one on one day and another on another day. Do you find that statewide?
Absolutely. The wineries, despite thinking that more wineries would be more competition, it's actually the opposite with wineries, because it's more of a draw to a region, and there is the opportunity to compare, contrast. Maybe you like one variety from one winery and another from another. There's something unique about each different location, and it's the beauty of visiting them.
All right, now talk to me about Pennsylvania grapes. Do we have good grapes? Can we actually, is our climate actually good for making wine?
Absolutely. We have different microclimates in the state of Pennsylvania, so there are grapes that do flourish better in some regions than others, but more importantly, we have such a great variety of grapes that are grown in the state of Pennsylvania. So that gives so many different opportunities to the winemakers to craft more than just 7 varieties. They can craft 20 some varieties.
Right, and actually Chris showed us a wine that was made with, I think, peaches.
Yes. Yeah, there are quite a few wineries that also make wine from fruit other than grapes.
And of course, we grow fruit in Pennsylvania.
Yes, yes. And I know many wineries also, we're starting to see, have cidery operations.
Apples.
Apples.
Sure.
And mead, too. So you'll see
Right.
with the honey.
Yes, Chris had a mead that I have had, and it was pretty good. So tell me what you would like to do to, expand the industry or make it bigger in Pennsylvania.
Sure.
What are you working on right now?
Well, we've had some very strong movements recently, and have had the opportunity to expand the presence in farm markets. So for many wineries, most wineries are located in rural portions of the state, gives them the opportunity to showcase their wines alongside other locally grown produce.
That was a piece of legislation that I voted for. As I recall, that's how we got there.
Thank you very much.
Right, so talk to me about the relationship between these Pennsylvania wineries, if any, and state stores.
Yes, there are about 25 wineries that currently do sell their wines in the fine wines and good spirits stores across the state. Some have a larger presence than others. We've been working directly with the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board and the Department of Agriculture, specifically the PA Preferred program, in order to be able to allow local wineries to have a presence in up to 10 stores. And many have taken advantage of that program to kind of put their foot in the pond to see if they would like to sell through the fine wines and good spirit stores.
Usually larger quantities, I guess.
Larger quantities, and also, if they may have a signature wine that has had a popularity in the area. It provides different outlets for the public to be able to purchase it beyond the 5 satellite locations that they do currently.
And it also allows a winemaker to have a bigger market to appeal to if he can get his wine in a Pennsylvania state store, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So the other thing I would like to know is, do these wineries get licenses, or how does that work? Can I start a winery up in my basement?
Well, you could, but just for your own individual use.
I don't know anything about making wine, so I couldn't. But I mean, if I did know something, how would you do that?
Once you get to a certain production level, so it's over 300 gallons, you would, with
300 gallons,
with
wow,
the intent
okay.
to sell. You would contact the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board, and they would be able to work with you on the entire licensing process, licensing through the state, and then there's also licensing through the federal government with the TTB as well.
TTB? What's that?
Basically, it's the organization that took over from alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, I want to know a little bit about Pennsylvania Preferred. What does that mean, and how does it impact the winemaking industry here in Pennsylvania?
Well, we as an association are very proud members of Pennsylvania Preferred, and many of I would say a majority of the wineries are members of Pennsylvania Preferred, and we always encourage the wineries to become members of Pennsylvania Preferred. It's a wonderful program that the Department of Agriculture has set up to identify that you are a producer in Pennsylvania, and in order for your wines then to be considered Pennsylvania Preferred wines, you would have to be utilizing a percentage of product that was grown here in Pennsylvania as well.
Okay, so they're basically local products sold locally at Pennsylvania wineries who are also Pennsylvania Preferred.
Yes.
All right, now I guess that's something you put on your label, or you let people know that.
Yes, wineries will often put either shelf talkers or stickers on their bottles, or have some type of notification in their winery.
What's a shelf talker?
A shelf talker, it's kind of like something that hangs off of the shelf to identify this is a PA preferred product. I know also in the fine wines and good spirits stores throughout the month of October, which October was Pennsylvania Wine Month, they had notification that PA preferred products were being sold in the stores with either the shelf talkers and the hang tags and other promotional materials.
Okay, so if I wanted to buy Pennsylvania Preferred and I wanted to visit a local winery, where would I look to find one? I mean, I know where Boyd's Cardinal Hollow Winery is because it's local to me, but suppose I wanted to branch out, go to Bucks County for the day, try something different. Where would I look?
Well, there are a few different places you could look on the Pennsylvania Preferred is the primary that you would be looking for. The Pennsylvania Preferred website also, they feature their membership. And of course, PennsylvaniaWine.com, we feature the listing of wineries. And oftentimes, even if you would contact the winery and ask if they're Pennsylvania Preferred, they would proudly identify that they are.
All right, and do they also work with the tourism agencies to let the tourism people know that they exist?
The wineries often work with their convention and visitors bureaus.
Oh, sure.
And they do work directly with other entities and stakeholders in their region in order to help promote that they are part of the community and they are seen as a touch point for the community to not only stop by on a Saturday afternoon, but oftentimes they host anything from yoga in the vineyard to game night, food and wine pairings, and different ways to engage the public and to get them to visit the winery, learn more about wine, but more so have fun with the process.
Right, I think it would be a fun. I think a wine tour would be a fun thing to do. Now, what is this Groundhog Wine Trail? I just thought I'd ask.
Sure. So there is a portion of the state where we think of Punxsutawney Phil, in the Du Bois, Punxsutawney area. It's a network of, I believe, 12 wineries at this point, and they are the Groundhog Wine Trail. And like many of the other wine trails throughout the state, they have their own festival, much like the Lehigh Valley and the Brandywine Valley. They have their own festivals to showcase their wines and allowing those wineries that are in that region to be able to showcase their product.
Another thing that's seldom seen, but is sort of a hallmark of these small wineries are interesting labels. I like bottles with interesting labels, and most of them have them, it seems.
They do. And if a wine has a name other than the variety of the grape, they call that a fanciful name. And you can see some very interesting and fun and unique fanciful names that are often beckoning the region that you're visiting. So if you happen to be traveling through a portion of the state and visiting others from out of state and you would like to take something that's a regional treasure, that's an opportunity to do so.
That's a good idea. Well, but that's all the time we have for today's program. I'm State Representative Kate Harper. If you need assistance with any state government matter, please feel free to contact me at my Bluebell office or through my website. That information, along with Jennifer's about the Pennsylvania wines, will be on the website. Will be on the screen in just a moment. Thanks for watching. Please join me again for Legislative Report.